Welcome to Missions Moment. My name is Calvin. I'm here with Aaron, and today Aaron and I are getting an update on the progress of the Krapf Project as we make headway into 2021.
I have signed a contract just last week with a publisher in Ontario for the Krapf biography. So I'm trying to work through that for a final edit and get it copy edited and off to them. So I'm hoping to have that finished by the end of the month. That might not be out until probably close to Christmas. It's going to take a long time to get that process through the press, but that's encouraging that we can get that out. Also, I wrote an article for magazines. I put that out, and I'm hoping to have that published in a magazine in Kenya this month or next month. They said at the beginning of the new year. So,
what's the article about?
Just the life story of Krapf. So the magazine in Kenya is a sort of a secular, quasi-secular religious magazine. It started by a missionary family who were there many years ago, but the family have settled in Kenya, and they have a magazine called Old Africa. So they tell the history of East Africa, Kenya, through photographs and articles. It's an interesting magazine. It's very well produced, and they've just published a book on the history of the Delameres. Lord Delamere went out in the 1800s. He was one of the settlers, the early settlers in Kenya. The Delamere family is still there. They have a massive yogurt company in Kenya, and it is the best. The lemon biscuit yogurt, Delamere yogurt, is the best.
Do they call it yogurt?
I'm not sure what they call it, yogurt or yogurt.
Just in case any of our listeners are wondering what yogurt is, I thought I'd clarify.
Yeah, I think I've slipped back into the Ulster way of pronouncing that word.
Is that yogurt with an H?
I'm not
yogurt.
Sure. I think I have slipped back. I probably have, now that you mention that.
That's okay.
Yogurt.
That's kind of more on the getting the word out to the public side about the history of Ludwig Krapf and the history of Protestant missionary work there. So that's kind of one prong of what you're doing. What else is the project up to?
Well, every week I'm putting out, this is the 6th week, I'm out this morning, a study on Matthew's Gospel, expository thoughts on the Gospel of Matthew from J.C. Ryle. I edit them briefly, or lightly edit them, and then I attach questions or suggestions for further study. And that goes out every week. I just got a text last night from a pastor in Kithamula, in the village where we live, and he's using it for a study for his youth group. I just need them to interact more, to let me know how they're using it, so that they can also suggest ways to use the study for other pastors here in the group, in the WhatsApp group. So that goes out once a week on Thursday, sometime on a Thursday. And then once a month, we put out the pastor's study, which this is the second one, has gone out this past week. So on that, we're putting out studies. I've started a study in Genesis 3. I've started a series of little essays, vignettes on the life of Krapf, which is going out in a series. And the other parts of it are just random question and answers, just things of interest, broken up to make it interesting for the pastors. Apart from that, we're just percolating the word into rural Africa and hoping that it will bear fruit. I have been in touch also with a couple of guys in Nairobi, and there hasn't been much development come out of these conversations, but it's in early stages of a guy who's interested in translation work, and he wants to put out a Swahili version of the pastor's study, and I think we'll probably do that once a quarter. And also trying to get Calvin's Institutes summarized and translated into Kiswahili. The J.C. Ryle has been translated, and I've been trying to get copies of that. In fact, the guy that has got in touch with me from Nairobi was part of the translation team for that. So I'm hoping to get copies of that, and if I can get copies of that, I would distribute it around contacts that I have.
Very good.
But on the translation side, I'm also encouraged there because I've been chatting to a guy on the Mombasa side who is interested in translation, and he has an organization who's particularly interested in helping with translation work. The problem with this is just connecting all the dots.
Yeah.
There's things in place here and there, but we need to try to connect the dots, and that's the issue, getting the things coordinated.
I'd say right now we're at a stage where we have sort of scoped out the task a little bit more than we had a year ago. And I think the sense that from producing material to distributing it, there's a number of jobs there. There's producing it, deciding how to format it, there's translation, there's forming groups who are going to be using it, there's connecting with people who want to use it. And the challenge is sort of a little bit more tractable, I think, than it was a year ago. Even though we've been learning about how big the challenge is, I think we've been learning a bit about how to tackle it too.
Networking is key, and even a year ago, and I probably still am to some level, a bit too optimistic. There's everything you go to do is so fraught with difficulty and complications and complexity that you just need to work through it all. So it takes a lot of time back and forward. And like you say, I think we're probably still at some level at the stage of scoping out.
Yeah.
But those contacts that we're making, even we've made new contacts in the past year. Guys have come to me from Nairobi that I didn't know before. I had met, I think a couple of the guys I'd met in a church in Nairobi, but I'd seen them but hadn't spoken to them. So there are openings and there's possibilities and potential, but we just need to keep chipping away and getting that developed and established.
The other thing that's kind of an interesting thing that we've been learning is the compatibility between what we're aiming to do and what's already happening.
Our focus is rural. I know people in Nairobi are doing the same thing, but their focus is not on the rural pastors. Rural pastors are difficult to get to and difficult to work with, in the sense that they're guys who are trying to eke out a living for their own existence and and for their family, and getting that coordinated and fitting into that schedule. You know, they're not living in a city where they can nip over to 2 streets or whatever and come to a church service. They're miles apart. They're on bicycles or on foot. So it's trying to get all of that, fit some program that will fit their schedule and help them in the ministry. And this is what the Krapf Academy, where I'm sending out the expository thoughts of Jesse Ryle at the minute, and that I hope will develop to something more substantial and more structured. And we're working on that, like we talked about earlier in the week, to see how we can structure that. And I've spoken to a couple of guys in Africa who give me some ideas on how best that can be done. We're still trying to work through that to find a program and a method that will fit, rather than try to squeeze something Western into their model. That's what I don't want to do, and that's what a lot of even in Kenya, some of the organizations are doing. They're fitting a city or a Western model into a rural thing, and it's not working. And so I want to try to find something that fits them, that's tailor-made for them, but that is sustainable. Yeah, that's the goal. So that's us. I don't want to ramble on too much here tonight.
Very good. Well, thanks for the update, and we will bid our listeners farewell, and thank you for your interest and support and prayers.
Yes.
The work is ongoing.
Yes, indeed. Yes, our thanks to all who have supported us and who continue to support us.